The two-time Oscar winner spoke with Lee Cowan about the longevity of her career.
Amazing, amazing part of my life that is so interwoven with everything that I am, being a mom.
At 62, Jodie Foster shocked the world. The child star who became Hollywood royalty now looks completely different. After winning 2 Oscars before 30, she vanished from movies. When she returned last year, cameras caught something nobody expected. Unlike other aging celebrities, Foster made a controversial choice about her appearance. Industry experts were stunned. Her transformation proves she's nothing like other stars. Jodie Foster was born in Los Angeles on November 19, 1962. She came into the world just weeks after the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the whole planet had been holding its breath. Her mother, Evelyn Brandy Foster, was raising 4 kids alone after her husband left, before Jodie was even born. They lived in a modest home, but Brandy made sure her children had something more important than money: sharp minds, strong voices, and room to grow. Jodie, the youngest, was different from the start. At just 9 months old, Jodie wasn't just babbling, she was speaking full sentences. Doctors were so stunned, they documented it in journals. By 2, she could watch a commercial once and recite every word. At 3, she taught herself how to read. No flashcards, no training, just curiosity. By 4, she was reading 3rd-grade books and performing dramatic scenes from literature. At 5, her IQ was tested, 132. Highly gifted. She wasn't just smart, she was self-aware and emotionally sharp too. Even her older siblings listened when she mediated their fights. But how did she become Jodie? Her real name was Alicia Christian Foster. But that name never really stuck. At 3 months old, her siblings started calling her Jodie after a family friend named Joe D. Glovin. That nickname took over her entire life. Even casting directors loved how simple and unique it sounded. It wasn't until she saw her birth certificate at age 6 that she realized Alicia was her legal name. It left her a little shaken, but only for a moment. She was already Jodie to the world. Everything changed when she was just 3. A talent scout saw her at a playground. No training, no agent, just a kid who could speak clearly, hit her marks, and stay calm under pressure. Out of 63 kids auditioning for a Coppertone ad, Jodie stood out. That ad became iconic. A dog pulling at her swimsuit while the narrator said, "Coppertone protects." After that, her career exploded. In the next 18 months, she filmed 27 commercials for McDonald's, Mattel, and others. At age 4, she was earning more than her mother. A trust fund had to be set up to manage it all. Then came her first acting role in a TV show. She was 5 years old. The show was Mayberry RFD, and she played a character named Gloria. Over 200 kids auditioned. Jodie got the part not by being flashy, but by being real. She showed up every day with the entire script memorized, not just her lines. By the time she turned 6, she had 8 acting credits. One of Hollywood's biggest producers, Norman Lear, started calling her for more roles. By 13, Jodie Foster had been on over 50 television shows. Her big break was playing Joey Kelly on The Courtship of Eddie's Father. She acted alongside veterans who asked writers to give her more lines because she was that good. She even filmed The Partridge Family while running a 103-degree Fahrenheit fever and didn't miss a scene. Her professionalism stunned everyone. One episode of The Bob Newhart Show earned her $9,000. That's about $50,000 today for a single episode. But then came the accident. In 1972, on the set of Napoleon and Samantha, A trained lion named Major attacked her. He bit through her back, sides, and thighs. Just missed her organs. She was flipped in the air like a toy. A trainer had to step in and got injured too. Disney kept filming. She came back to set after just 3 days, bandaged, shaken, but focused. She had nightmares for years and needed speech therapy for months, but she finished the film. Critics said her performance showed remarkable poise. New laws were later passed to protect kids working with animals because of her. Next, she took on something nobody expected, a musical. Tom Sawyer in 1973. She played Becky Thatcher. Over 1,200 girls auditioned. She got it. She sang 7 songs with no formal training. A famous composer said he'd never seen a child learn music that fast. She broke her wrist during a stunt, but kept going. She danced in muddy rivers, did her own choreography, and wore 17 of the same costume because of so many takes. Critics compared her to Shirley Temple, but with more talent. And then, something huge happened. In 1974, Martin Scorsese saw a tape of her audition for Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. He had seen 71 girls, but her reading left him stunned. He called her a phenomenon. He even rearranged his filming schedule just so she wouldn't miss school. On set, she worked like an adult. Star Ellen Burstyn asked her for acting advice. In one key scene, Jodie improvised 7 lines. Scorsese kept every single one. He let her watch the footage with him, something usually only lead actors get to do. That performance earned her a New York Film Critics Circle nomination. Pauline Kael wrote that Jodie had an old soul in a child's body. That role directly led to Taxi Driver. She played Iris Steensma, a 12-year-old prostitute. It was one of the most controversial roles ever given to a child. Before she could even take the part, Foster had to sit through a 4-hour psychological exam with a UCLA psychiatrist. The California Labor Board demanded proof she was stable enough to handle such dark material. On set, she was never alone. A social worker was always nearby, and for the more disturbing scenes, her older sister Connie stepped in as a body double. Still, Foster wasn't fazed by the role. She said it was the first time she got to create a character who wasn't just a version of herself. What really bothered her wasn't the violence or the adult themes. It was the clothes. She hated the tiny shorts, the platform shoes, and the halter tops. "I was sniffing back tears because I had to wear those dumb costumes," she said later. Despite it all, her performance earned her an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress. By the time filming ended, she had more movies under her belt than the film's 32-year-old director, Martin Scorsese. But Foster didn't stop there. That same year, she jumped from gritty realism to pure fantasy in Bugsy Malone. This time, she wasn't a street kid. She was Tallulah, the glamorous singer-girlfriend of a child gangster. The entire cast was made up of children, and instead of bullets, the characters used whipped cream splurge guns. It was set in the 1920s, but nothing about it was serious. Foster sang, danced, and showed a totally different side of herself. The film paired her with a young Scott Baio and became a cult classic. It was proof that Foster wasn't just a dramatic actress. She could do fun, musical, and surreal too. Then came Freaky Friday, Disney's hit comedy about a teenager who switches bodies with her mom. Foster played Annabelle, a normal teen who suddenly has to deal with adult life. The film, released in January 1977 but filmed the year before, was a huge box office success. It made $36 million on a $5 million budget. Once again, Foster was doing something completely different. She was funny, lighthearted, and totally convincing as both a teen and a mom trapped inside a teen's body. Her performance got her a Golden Globe nomination, and so did her co-star, Barbara Harris. The film's success showed studios that Foster could handle big commercial roles just as easily as edgy ones. It balanced her image after Taxi Driver and opened doors to even more variety. But her biggest challenge was still ahead. In The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, she starred as Ryn Jacobs, a 13-year-old girl living alone, hiding dark secrets. It was her most mature role yet. The film was quiet, dark, and intense. She had to carry almost every scene by herself. Her co-star was Martin Sheen, who played a disturbing predator who stalked her. One scene in particular caused controversy. A nude shot the producers insisted on including. Foster refused. Her sister Connie stepped in again as a body double. Years later, Foster said she never fully accepted the film because of that one choice. But critics loved her performance. She won a Saturn Award for Best Actress, and the movie won Best Horror Film. Reviewers said the entire film revolved around her and praised her for handling such disturbing material with depth and control. After her breakout year in 1976, 14-year-old Jodie Foster didn't just stay on the Hollywood path. She moved to France and spent 9 full months there in 1977. She wasn't just visiting, she was working. She starred in a French film called Moi, Fleur Bleue, playing a teenager named Isabelle. But she didn't stop at acting. She recorded songs for the film too. The English title was Stop Calling Me Baby, and the story dealt with serious themes. That same year, she appeared in an Italian comedy called Casotto. It had big names like Gigi Proietti and Ugo Tognazzi. That film later got shown at the Venice Film Festival as part of a tribute to Italian comedy. At just 15, Jodie was taking on international projects in foreign languages, while most teenage actors were still doing sitcoms back home. But she hadn't left Hollywood behind. She also did Candle Shoe for Disney in 1977. It was a heist film shot in England. She starred alongside legends like David Niven and Helen Hayes. The story was about a girl named Casey who tries to rob a kind woman pretending to be her long-lost grandmother. In one of the film's most emotional scenes, Casey breaks down crying for the first time in her life. Critics said this wasn't a typical Disney film. It had real depth. It showed Jodie could do more than just act tough. She could show heartbreak and guilt, too. At just 15, she was already proving she could carry serious emotional weight on screen. By the time Foxes came out in 1980, Jodie was 18. This wasn't a family film. It was raw and real. She played a teen dealing with a troubled mother and trying to save a friend from abuse and drugs. Her co-star was Cherie Currie, a real-life rocker from The Runaways. The movie didn't sugarcoat anything. It showed the ugly, painful parts of growing up. Critics called it bold, honest, and even girly in the best sense, because it focused on how teenage girls really lived. It marked a turning point. She was done with child roles. This was her step into adult storytelling. But that same year, something terrifying began. A man named John Hinckley Jr. became obsessed with Jodie after watching Taxi Driver more than 15 times. He started sending her letters and calling her dorm at Yale. He even moved to New Haven and took a writing class there, just to be near her. On March 30th, 1981, he tried to kill President Ronald Reagan. He shot the president and 3 others. His reason? He wanted to impress Jodie. She had nothing to do with it, but her name was suddenly in every headline around the world. She was only 18 and now needed bodyguards just to go to class. The trauma wasn't hers, but she was dragged into it anyway. The nightmare didn't stop there. There were other stalkers. One man admitted he had planned to kill her, then changed his mind after watching her act in a school play. Jodie kept quiet about all of it. She almost never spoke about Hinckley. In 1982, she wrote an essay called Why Me, but only if the magazine followed strict rules. No photos, no ads, no publicity. She wanted to be heard, but not turned into a tabloid. In the piece, she revealed she got 73 letters from Hinckley, including one just hours before the shooting. She said she felt like she had stopped being a person and become a symbol. She even refused to type the essay. She wrote it by hand so no copies could leak. The magazine agreed to never reprint it. It became one of the rarest pieces in Esquire history. Meanwhile, life at Yale was like living under a microscope. 4 FBI agents rotated shifts living in her dorm. Her room had bulletproof glass. Her phone connected straight to federal agents. Teachers scanned classrooms before she entered. She kept a 3.8 GPA that year while acting in 3 films. The university banned all media from campus, just for her. Students were told they'd be expelled if they spoke to the press. It was like witness protection, but at college. She later said she wanted to quit 17 times during freshman year, but she stayed. In 1985, Jodie graduated magna cum laude. Her thesis was 167 pages long and written in just 11 weeks. She did it while filming a movie in Paris. She ended with a 3.96 GPA. She earned 163 credits, 43 more than needed, while shooting 7 films during her time at Yale. FBI files later revealed she had survived 3 more assassination attempts while studying, including one in 1984, planned just 2 days before it was supposed to happen. She often filmed movies only during weekends and school breaks. She even taught herself French and German. Her final year included 24 credits per semester, and she never missed a class. But when she left school, her Hollywood path wasn't waiting for her. From 1985 to 1987, she auditioned for 63 roles. She got 2 offers. Both were slasher film victims. Variety ran a poll calling her box office poison. Studios didn't know what to do with a Yale graduate who used to be a child star. 3 of her finished films were shelved. By 1987, she had less than $13,000 left in savings. One of her films earned just $320,000 on a $4.3 million budget. Another opened in only 7 theaters. She began going to therapy 3 times a week. She almost left the United States to restart her career in France. Then came The Accused. Director Jonathan Kaplan fought for her for 7 months. He ignored studio notes calling her unbankable. It saved her career. She played Sarah Tobias in The Accused, a rape survivor who wasn't painted as innocent or polished. Sarah was rough around the edges. She drank, she smoked, she wore short skirts. But that was the point. The film wanted to challenge the idea that only perfect victims deserve justice. The brutal gang assault scene in the movie wasn't easy to watch, but Foster's performance made sure people couldn't look away. She showed pain, anger, and strength all at once. It wasn't just a role, it was a message, and that message hit hard. On March 29, 1989, Jodie Foster walked up to the Oscars stage and took home the award for Best Actress. She was only 26. That made her one of the youngest ever to win in that category. The win wasn't just about acting, it was about what she stood for. A film about rape, a complex woman, a broken system, and she brought it all to life. That night, she also joined the rare club of actors who'd won the Triple Crown: Oscar, Golden Globe, and BAFTA, all for the same role. It was a turning point in her career, the moment she left behind the label of child star for good. 2 years later, she founded her own production company, Egg Pictures. She wanted more control, not just over what she acted in, but the kinds of stories being told. Stories about women like Sarah Tobias. The company's first big project was Nell, a movie about a woman raised in total isolation. Jodie didn't just star in it, she poured herself into it. And her performance landed her another Oscar nomination. But by the early 2000s, things got harder. Some projects fell through. The company shut down. Still, it was a bold move, especially in a Hollywood world where most production power was in men's hands. After The Accused, Foster didn't settle for easy roles. In 1991, she took on The Silence of the Lambs. This time, she was Clarice Starling, a rookie FBI agent trying to catch a serial killer. She wasn't tough in the usual way. She didn't fight with fists. She used her brain. And that made her different. Jodie wanted the role so badly that she tried to buy the rights to the book before anyone else. When the director said no to casting her, producers stepped in and made it happen. The film exploded, earning nearly $273 million. And just like that, she had her second Oscar. That role almost didn't happen. Michelle Pfeiffer was offered Clarice first, but turned it down. Foster didn't let that stop her. She called the director 17 times. Then she trained at the FBI Academy, fired real guns, studied profiling, just to get inside Clarice's mind. Even though she and Anthony Hopkins only shared 227 seconds on screen, their scenes were unforgettable. One scene was so shocking it got 8,000 complaint letters. But the movie hit a nerve. It inspired real-life women, too. Over 24 female FBI recruits said Clarice Starling made them join. AFI later named Clarice the greatest female hero in movie history. On March 30th, 1992, Foster won her second Oscar. She was only 29 years and 4 months old. That made her the fourth actor ever to win 2 Oscars before turning 30. What's more, she won both in just over 3 years, one of the fastest back-to-back Best Actress wins in history. But something odd happened that night. While holding her Oscar tightly, part of the gold chipped off. It didn't matter. She was now making $7 million per film, more than any other actress in Hollywood. Few remembered that she once started her career at age 3, selling copper-tone sunscreen on TV. Even fewer knew she almost turned down Silence of the Lambs because she was exhausted and didn't want to play another victim. In 1991, she made headlines for something off-screen. She was supposed to go live on The Today Show. Just 37 minutes before airtime, she canceled. The show had planned to mention John Hinckley Jr., the man who tried to kill President Reagan to impress her. She had asked them not to bring him up. They ignored that, so she walked. People didn't realize how deep that wound ran. After the shooting, she got 41 death threats. At Yale, FBI agents had to guard her dorm room. Between 1981 and 1991, she refused over 273 interviews that mentioned Hinckley. When she stood up to The Today Show, it cost NBC around $135,000. But she didn't care. Her team's public statement made it clear. Her pain wasn't for sale. That same year, she stepped behind the camera. Little Man Tate was her first film as a director. It was about a boy genius, but really, it was about her. Foster had read at age 2, spoken French at 7, and scored a 162 IQ at age 9. Like the boy in the movie, she had grown up too fast, but no studio wanted to give her a chance. She was rejected 18 times. Some execs said, "Women don't direct commercial films." That didn't stop her. She filmed the child actor's reactions without warning him, trying to capture real emotion. She was terrified of failure, often hiding in her trailer between takes. But it worked. The movie made $25 million in the United States, 3 times the average for female-directed films in 1991. Then came Nell in 1994, and Foster went all in. To play a woman raised in isolation, she lived alone in the mountains for 23 days. No phone, no tech. She only spoke Nellish, a language she invented with 127 made-up words. She lost 18 pounds, wore prosthetic teeth, spent 4 hours each day in makeup. In one lake scene, she got hypothermia in 36-degree Fahrenheit water. Still, she refused a body double. In one stretch, she stayed in character for 89 hours straight. For a single 42-second piano scene, she learned to play with her toes and did 37 takes. Though she didn't win the Oscar, doctors and psychologists praised her performance as the most accurate ever seen on screen. Foster later said the role changed her. After living as Nell, it was hard to return to normal life. Jodie Foster met Sidney Bernard in 1993 on the set of Summersby. Sidney was a production coordinator. Jodie was the star. No one knew it at the time, but that moment quietly started a relationship that would last 14 years. They never made a public announcement. Instead, they worked around the press. They would show up at events separately. They used service elevators, kitchen doors, anything to avoid being seen together. For the first 5 years, even Jodie's close friends didn't know the truth. In 2005, they bought a Beverly Hills compound for $10.5 million. It had 15-foot privacy walls and high-level security that cost $275,000 to install. Their staff had to sign strict agreements. Anyone who leaked details faced a $2 million penalty. Sidney was by Jodie's side for every major moment, attending all 7 of her film premieres from 1997 to 2007. Still, the public never saw them together, not even in one photo. Jodie became a mother in 1998. She was 35. Her first son, Charlie, was born through IVF. Her second son, Kit, arrived in 2001. She used fake names at clinics. She flew between California and New York, all to keep the process private. After filming Contact, she said the vastness of space made her want to create something of her own universe. That meant becoming a parent. She paid around $175,000 a year to control photo rights at her children's schools. That way, paparazzi couldn't get access. To this day, no one knows who the biological father is. Some guessed Randy Stone, a close friend. But Jodie once said, "My children will know when they're ready, not when the public demands it." Jodie's privacy wasn't just personal, it was strategic. Between 1995 and 2013, she acted in 11 major films, but gave only 14 real interviews. Her publicist said Jodie used 3 rotating PR teams. None knew her full schedule. This made it impossible to track her. She even used something called the Foster method. It meant giving the press small, personal stories, just enough to keep them satisfied, while hiding what mattered. In 2007, People magazine ran a feature on her home life. But the home wasn't hers. It was rented. Even the furniture was borrowed. She used 17 different email addresses between 1998 and 2013. She changed them constantly. When she bought a Malibu beach house in 2004, she used 7 shell companies in 3 countries. Her neighbors didn't even know she lived there for nearly 5 years. Then came the Golden Globes in 2013. Jodie won the Cecil B. DeMille Award. Her speech lasted 7 minutes. It had 2,738 words. She spoke 30% faster than usual just to finish in time. Nearly 20 million people watched. In just 1 minute, 47,000 tweets went out. She told the world she had come out 1,000 years ago, back in the Stone Age. The line about privacy, "It's something I require to survive," was quoted in 215 university courses. Network staff tried 4 times to get her speech in advance. She refused. She kept the handwritten copy in her purse. In April 2014, Jodie married Alexandra Hedison. The two met at a tech conference in 2013. Alexandra is a photographer and actress. They dated for almost 10 months before anyone snapped a photo. Their wedding wasn't just one event. It was 3 ceremonies over 8 days. Each one had strict guest rules. Phones were banned. Guests signed agreements. The main ceremony was held on April 20th in Malibu. Only 27 people attended. There was also an unexpected Hollywood twist. Alexandra had dated Ellen DeGeneres years earlier. Now she was married to Jodie. The two chose to appear publicly just 4 times a year, just enough to stay visible, not enough to invite chaos. In 2021, Jodie called Alexandra "my wife" during her Golden Globe acceptance. It was small, but powerful. A big step from the secrecy of the past. They now live between 2 places, an $11.75 million home in Beverly Hills and a $3.5 million apartment in Manhattan. Alexandra's photography explores themes like invisibility and presence. Her 2019 exhibit was titled "The In-Between." It's a fitting metaphor for life with Jodie, half in the light, half in the dark. Since 2014, Jodie has acted less often. She only made 5 films in a decade. She said acting never felt like her purpose. It was something she fell into when she was 3. Now, she picks roles that matter. In 2021, she starred in The Mauritanian. It told the true story of a man imprisoned at Guantanamo Bay for 14 years without a trial. She played his lawyer. When she saw that her character had been made more dramatic just to attract a star, she asked the writers to cut those parts. She wanted the story, not herself, to shine. That choice earned her a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress. In July 2021, Cannes gave her the honorary Palme d'Or. She was 58th. It was one of the highest honors in cinema. Her first time at Cannes had been in 1976 for Taxi Driver, when she was just 13. She said the festival changed her life. Now it honored her legacy. In 2023, Jodie returned to the Oscars with Niad. She played Bonnie Stoll, the friend and coach of swimmer Diana Niad. To prepare, Jodie trained hard. Weights, kettlebells, total body transformation. The directors were shocked. She didn't tell them what she was doing. She just showed up, strong and ready. The real Bonnie called her lovely and said they became friends in their very first meeting. It was Jodie's 5th Oscar nomination. The first had come when she was just 14. This time, Jodie stood not just as a star, but as someone who had built her own life, her own world, on her own terms.